She was one of the most powerful women of the Joseon dynasty, and she paid for it with her life. Your hand trembles, ink spilling across the parchment. A scream, muffled by a maid's gasp, echoes through the royal chambers. You are a royal scribe, a silent observer in the heart of the Joseon dynasty, and you are witnessing a crime that will shake the throne itself. This is not the history found in textbooks, full of dates and diplomatic victories. This is immersive history, raw, visceral, unfolding in real time. After Queen Inhyeon's mysterious death, the king ordered Jang Hee-bin's chambers to be searched. Tonight, the air is thick with foreboding. In the Jang Hee-bin's private chambers, a junior lady-in-waiting points a shaking finger toward a dark, secret altar. You step closer, eyes wide in the dim candlelight. What you see makes your blood run cold. A crude doll, a talisman of a curse, its chest pierced by two thick needles. The name whispered behind this sinister act sends a shiver down your spine. Jang Hee-bin. You are a fly on the wall, an unseen witness to the most private moments of the royal family. Your hands, usually steady, tremble as you record the details of this chilling discovery in the annals of the Joseon dynasty, a meticulous historical record that will be read for generations. The court, despite its rigid Confucian logic, harbors a deep fear of ancient shamanic superstitions and the power they might unleash. In this era, a crime of this magnitude is not merely political, it is spiritual. You know Jang Hee-bin is no ordinary woman. She is the king's concubine, a figure of intoxicating beauty and fierce ambition, who bore King Sukjong a son and for a time supplanted Queen Inhyeon. The court was torn between them, a debate among historians that still echoes through the centuries. Was she a cunning villain or a brilliant strategist navigating a deeply patriarchal system? For you, the answer doesn't matter now. What matters is the blood on the needles. This is no longer a political battle. It is a brutal, personal war, a deadly game of betrayal and curses in the heart of the palace. Your task is to write, to record, to preserve. You are not merely a scribe, you are a living repository of the past, charged with capturing a vivid, unflinching portrait of a tumultuous era for a history audiobook. You are witnessing a side of history rarely spoken of, a world of superstition and fear lurking beneath the grandeur of the Joseon court. This is a power struggle turned survival tale, a real-life horror story where the very air feels poisoned with distrust. And here, in the quiet of night, with the doll in your hands and the scent of cold earth and old parchment in the air, the true weight of your role as second-person narrator settles in. This is no fairy tale. It is the brutal truth of power, betrayal, and the cost of ambition. Your hands once again steady themselves. The ink is ready. The story must be told. The hushed discovery of the cursed puppet is just one thread in a much larger, more intricate tapestry of betrayal and power. You, the scribe, are privy to a story few beyond the palace walls truly understand. A tale of three lives bound by fate and ambition. King Sukjong, Queen Inhyeon, and Jang Hee-bin. The destinies are now entangled in a deadly game. First, there is King Sukjong, a monarch of great intellect. He ruled for nearly 46 years and consolidated the power of the throne, a legacy that secured his place as a pivotal figure in Joseon's history. Yet for all his strength, he was a man torn between duty to the state and the desires of his heart. You know this conflict cannot end well. Then there is Queen Inhyeon,
Graceful, intelligent, chosen by court officials and backed by a powerful political faction. She was a symbol of legitimacy, a pillar of stability. But she could not give the king an heir, a devastating blow in a society where the royal bloodline was a matter of national survival. You recall the whispers, the relentless pressure, the countless rituals, the quiet desperation. Her dignity was her armor, but in a world of ruthless politics, it also made her vulnerable. And finally, Jang Hee-bin. To the court, she was a concubine of common birth, beautiful, cunning, and rising through the ranks with breathtaking speed. She was not a queen by lineage, but she gave the king what the queen could not, a son. The birth of Prince Ok-jung changed everything. The king's affection for her was no fleeting romance. It was a passion that led him to depose Queen Inhyeon and crown Jang Hee-bin as his new queen. You witnessed the political maneuvering firsthand. Historians still debate whether this was a strategic masterstroke to consolidate royal power or the desperate act of a man blinded by love. You remember the factions, the deep divisions, the whispered alliances, the betrayals. The court became a battlefield, and you, the scribe, recorded every venomous accusation, every public execution. This was no mere disagreement. It was a brutal struggle for survival, where a single misstep could doom an entire family. The political factions of Joseon, eccentric in their influence, were constantly at war. The Western faction, loyal to Queen Inhyeon, and the Southern faction, backing Jang Hee-bin, engaged in a silent but deadly conflict. When Jang Hee-bin's son was born, the king was forced to choose a successor, plunging the court into a whirlwind of intrigue. The factions tore each other apart, using any means necessary to secure power. It's strange, isn't it, to think that someone centuries ago shared your same quiet fears, the dangers of political intrigue, the need to walk on eggshells, to speak in hushed tones, to choose words with care. The palace, once a symbol of order, now breathed suspicion and dread. You, the scribe, were a witness to it all. The rise of Jang Hee-bin, the fall of Queen Inhyeon, knowing full well that this tale was far from over. The discovery of the cursed doll in Jang Hee-bin's chambers was not merely a crime, it was an act of treason that shook the foundations of the Joseon dynasty. You, the royal scribe, witnessed the king's reaction, a fury so cold and absolute, it silenced the entire court. King Sukjong, once enchanted by Jang Hee-bin, now saw her actions as the ultimate betrayal. A man of logic and order, he was suddenly confronted with a reality far more chaotic and sinister than any political intrigue. As the royal investigation begins, the air thickens with tension. Whispers turn to frantic accusations. Secret interrogations unfold behind closed doors, and brutal punishments follow, all in the name of uncovering the truth. The focus narrows on Jang Hee-bin's inner circle, her maids, her attendants, anyone who might have aided the curse. And in those dark chambers, a chilling truth emerges. Jang Hee-bin and her mother had sought the help of a shaman to perform the ritual. You record the confession, and you notice something unsettling. The name of the shaman is left blank in the official record. You know why. Though the documents are silent, the fate of the shaman is almost certain. Executed swiftly, their life deemed worthless in the face of royal wrath. Their name was deliberately erased, a testament to the court's fear of black magic and its desire to bury the evidence. The punishment for such treason was swift and merciless. The king's judgment was not merely about justice, it was a warning to the entire kingdom. You, the scribe, bear witness to the tragic fate of Jang Hee-bin's family and followers. They are not banished, they are executed with brutal efficiency. Among the most heartbreaking entries you must record is the fate of her personal maid, a woman fiercely loyal to her mistress. She is tortured, then executed. Her devotion, her silence, her service, none of it could save her. But the most tragic fate of all awaited Jang Hee-bin herself. After the curse was uncovered, her position became untenable. The king, once consumed by love, was now forced to make a decision that would haunt him forever. You record the final sentence, execution by poison. The poison bowl, Sayak, was reserved for high-ranking royals and officials. It was considered merciful, yet still brutal. It allowed the condemned to end their life with a semblance of dignity. For Jang Hee-bin, it was the final, devastating chapter in a story that began with ambition and promise. You are there, a ghost in the palace, a witness to the end of a dynasty-shaking drama. You see her dressed in the simple white garments of the condemned. Her once radiant face is pale with fear and resignation. The poison is brought to her. She drinks it alone. It is a moment of profound sadness. In the world of the palace, ambition and love could not save her. Her life, so full of intrigue and power, ends not with a grand battle, but with quiet, tragic finality. The sound of her last breath echoes through the silent chamber, a sound you, the scribe, are bound to record for eternity. The story of Jang Hee-bin, once a beacon of ambition, is now a cautionary tale of a woman who dared to challenge the established order and lost everything. The execution of Jang Hee-bin was not merely an act of justice. It was a brutal, final statement about the cost of power in Joseon. You are a silent witness to a moment that would haunt the dynasty for centuries. You see her not as the cunning schemer portrayed in dramas, but as a woman stripped of power, facing her final moments. King Sukjong, in his twisted form of mercy, has sentenced her to die by poison. The Sayak, a symbol of royal decree and the beginning of her end. This is where cinematic history diverges from grim reality. In dramas, the poison is swift, a graceful exit. But you, the scribe, who has documented such deaths before, know the truth. The poison was slow, agonizing. You recall whispers of a past execution where a condemned man drank 16 cups before death finally came. The Joseon legal system's use of poison as prolonged torture is a dark, eccentric curiosity. In some cases, if the poison failed, hanging followed, turning mercy into torment. This final chapter still sparks debate among historians. Was she a ruthless manipulator, or a woman trapped in a patriarchal system that offered only two choices, to be a pawn or to fight for power? Her story is one of the great human tragedies of Joseon, a tale of love turned to poison, ambition turned to ash. It reveals the true nature of history, not a morality play of good and evil, but a tangled tapestry of emotion, desire, and flaw. You, the royal scribe, are the last one in the chamber. The candles flicker, casting long shadows on the walls. In the silence, you dip your brush in ink and begin the final entry, a sober account of a life that began with promise and ended in sorrow. You record her defiance, you record her death, and you record the silence that falls over the palace. The story of Jang Hee-bin is over, but her legacy, a whispered warning to every ambitious woman in the court, will live forever.
All right, let's step back from the shadows of the Joseon Palace for a moment. We've just witnessed a story of raw human drama, a tale of ambition, betrayal, and resilience that feels as fresh today as it did centuries ago. It's a strange and beautiful thing to step into these moments of the past, to feel the emotions of people who, despite the distance of time, are not so different from us. This isn't a list of dates and names. This is history in its most intimate form, a reflection,
on the human condition itself. Here at Korean Couple Storytellers, we believe the most profound history lives in personal, unvarnished stories. History isn't just something to be read, it's something to be felt. Whether it's the warmth of a family tradition or the cold fear of a royal curse, every narrative is a window into the soul of the past. Through these immersive stories, we find a deeper connection to where we come from. If this journey into cinematic history moved you, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps us continue bringing these narratives to life. Drop a comment below and tell me, what part of this story fascinated you most? And what other historical figures would you like to explore through this kind of personal, immersive lens? The book of Korean history is immense, and tonight we've only turned a single page. I'll be waiting for you, right here, when it's time to turn the next one.